Welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 26, 2023, 5:30 p.m. This is a Human Rights Commission special meeting, and I would like to start by calling this meeting to order. And the first thing I would like to ask if we can do a roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Horn,
Here.
Commissioner Flood,
Here.
Commissioner Cleary,
Here.
Commissioner Ramaran,
Here.
Commissioner Greer,
Here.
Commissioner Vignolo,
Present.
Vice Chair Shepherd,
Present.
Chair Loyola,
I'm here.
Student Representative Hanner, not showing, and Carlotta Rinke, I believe, was running late. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, that is correct, Jay. She
Okay.
didn't catch the fact that this was only via Zoom. And she called me a few minutes ago. She was at City Hall, so she's rushing back home and will be joining us in just a few minutes.
Okay. We have quorum.
Thank you, Jay. All right, so this particular special agenda, it's a little bit out of whack, and you probably have seen it. As you know, we need to post agendas a certain amount of hours prior to our meetings. And so I think that before we get into the action points in the agenda, we sort of have to look at the acceptance of the agenda and sort of agree what would be the best flow for today's meeting. And what I would like to recommend is that we rearrange the items in the agenda to make sure we have a better flow of the items for discussion. And then we could probably perhaps start with the mission statement and goals as number one item. I would then think we need to go into comments, presentations. We do have a presentation today by Dimitri Halkitis from Boot to Bullying, and I think it's important that Mr. Halkitis has an opportunity to make his remarks and for the commission to engage with it, with his remarks. And then we can go on to the approval of minutes. And then we could then move on to our elections for the next year. And then followed by the items for discussion for this meeting. And then identifying our agenda items for next meeting, any announcements that we may have, and then move on to adjournment. So that's, I think, a better flow for today's meeting. If you're on agreement, if anyone wants to second this motion to rearrange our agenda before we accept it, please, do I have a motion to rearrange? Commissioner Ramaran.
I second your.
But we need a motion first. We need someone to move.
I move that we rearrange according to the chair's recommendations.
Okay, so Commissioner Ramaran on record moves to rearrange and accept this arrangement. Do I have a second?
Second.
So Commissioner Horn, thank you. So on record, we're gonna then adopt the arrangement.
Could I make a suggestion that we have to amend your motion, Mr. Chair, and just have Dimitri do his presentation first, and then he can, if he chooses, leave the meeting. We don't need to keep him longer than we absolutely must. And then we can move into the more substantive elements of the meeting. It just
All
seems
right.
logical to me. That's just my personal opinion.
So Commissioner Vignolo, then we're moving presentations. We're moving presentations following mission statement and goals. And that way, Mr. Dimitri Halkitis can make his presentation following our mission statement and goals. And then he will be,
Correct. And
Thank you.
I would just, I guess, personally request, unless there's a compelling need to read the mission statement, that we waive the reading of the mission statement and goals. They're
No, I
on the
think-
agenda.
no, I think it's important that at least revisit the mission statement because we're gonna be doing elections. And I think that's a really important component.
But they're written in the agenda and everyone can read the agenda. So I'm not sure the value added of reading out loud the mission statement.
Okay.
We
You have any
are
other
we all
comments?
familiar with the mission statement by virtue of accepting our appointments to this commission. So I'm just trying to save time, but if you wish to read them out loud, so be it.
Any other comments from any other commissioners?
Mr. Chair, for the record, Student Representative Hanner has joined the meeting. And so has
Carlotta Rinke has joined the
Rinke.
meeting.
Welcome both. All right, so let's just revisit this. Do we have a motion to approve the changes? Commissioner Ramaran,
I move to
okay,
approve the changes to the agenda order.
and Commissioner Horn, do you still second?
I second so amendment, yes,
All right,
amended.
thank you so much. So with these changes, we're gonna move on to revisit the mission statement. We're not gonna go into the goals, but at
Mr.
least.
Chair, we have to take a vote on the motion to accept
Yes.
the agenda.
Please, those who accept the motion to amend the agenda, say hi or raise your hand.
Aye,
Okay, it looks like we have majority votes. Jay, you're muted, Jay.
Commissioner Ranky, I did not see your vote. Would you please let us know if you're aye or no or abstain?
No, yeah, okay. Okay. Well. I didn't see it.
Mhm.
Oh, boy, I need my glasses. Yeah, it's in my purse.
Commissioner Ranky? Carlotta,
Yes,
we did not hear your vote on the last item to approve, accept the agenda as amended.
yeah. I'm going to get in on my computer now. I'm going to call in again. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have 8-0 now. If you'd,
Yeah. We're just gonna move on to accept the amendment to the agenda and keep on moving.
thank you.
Thank you so much, commissioners. All right, so just to revisit, and I think this is really important, the mission statement of this commission, because it really fits into the greater scheme of why we're doing this in support of the city council. And so the mission of our commission is to promote and protect the diversity of our community and improve human relations through education and community awareness. Our goals as a commission include develop community education programs, investigate and mediate instances of discrimination of groups and individuals, to bring persons and groups together in common support of human rights issues, to acquire the fiscal and human resources necessary to support and accomplish the work of this commission, to provide management and coordination for the commission, to promote diversity through the appointment of candidates to all city boards and commissions to proportionally reflect the diversity of the population of the city of Palm Springs. The commission and each committee shall develop goals and objectives annually for adoption by this commission. The commission shall work closely with the mayor, the city council, and the city cabinet, and with all other city commissions and boards in joint endeavors that support the commission's missions and statements by city goals and objectives. Moving on to the next item in our agenda, we are going to have presentations. And today, we have the pleasure to be joined by Mr. Dimitri Halkiris, who is the CEO of Boo2Bullying. Welcome, Dimitri.
Thank you. Thank you so much, commissioners, for having me today. I'm really excited to speak to everybody. I think David sent everybody an event summary and a flyer. It's a preliminary first draft, but really just to dive into, Boo2Bullying's mission is to eradicate bullying, intolerance, and discrimination. We've served over 30,000 kids in the Coachella Valley and over 100,000 through our social media platform. We've spoken to LGBT kids that are afraid to come out. We've spoken to parents that their kids have been abused. So it is very, very important, the work that we do, and we continue to do it. Even though we've had COVID, we're still grateful to continue through Zoom. And it's been very difficult the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic. So which I was really excited last year when David approached and the Palm Springs Human Rights Commission wanted to do a bullying symposium. And it was a great idea, and it still is a great idea. It fell short. I think it fell short on a number of things. Everything was done correctly, but the feedback that I got from parents and people that attended and other educators, on a Saturday, parents don't want to be inside. They want to be outside with their kids. I've done a lot of research to bring up to this point to make the second year even more spectacular. This past year has been difficult, like I said, with the schools. We're not able to go into a lot of them. So we were really doing a lot of outreach, whether it was in the park, the 1 PS picnic, Be a Hero with the Barbara Sinatra Center in Rancho Mirage. And I really sat back and looked at how much fun all the kids and parents were having and still being educated and learn a lot through that half a day activity. So fast forward, this year, we wanted obviously to do the same thing. I already booked the pavilion, the Parks and Recreation. David and I did one walkthrough, which is really fantastic. It's right in the heart of Palm Springs. And there's the auditorium that they have. I think it's called the Pavilion, or the auditorium is spacious enough to have speaker series there. And also the outside of it is ample enough room to have different agencies to come and support and set up their canopy, their tents, and have activities for kids and information. I find that more friendlier and also active. Kids have been secluded being inside. I think it's really, really important. And I bring up the Be a Hero event that the Barbara Sinatra Center did, and we participated. There was so much fun and activity, and it was a half a day. It was from the morning, and it wrapped up at 2 o'clock. And then parents go on their way to do whatever they have to do on a Saturday. So we're not taking up a lot of their time. This is a free event for everybody, even the agencies to participate. They do have to bring their own tents and tables to set up. We will, the event summary, I won't go through the whole thing. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. But really the purpose was to have a fun, a celebrity kickball event after the speaker series, it would start. And that would be celebrities coming from LA and also our local celebrities, that we have. The ones that could kick a ball and run. No pun intended, but we don't want anybody to get hurt. So with that said, when I booked the pavilion, there was a lot of, they weren't sure about the baseball field. It was being reseeded. So I had one of the moms that works closely with our organization, Sylvia Signore. She booked the Palm Springs High School field that is adjacent to on Pavilion Way. And they have an entrance that goes into that baseball field right from the parking lot. So pretty much the idea was to have the bowling symposium, again, the second year, with an added bonus of doing a kickball fun event, food truck, agencies coming to set up, and also the agencies would have to provide some sort of activity like they do at Pride or any other outreach that they do in the community. I think it's inclusive, it brings out, and also I realize when we do Pride and all these events, we have kids and parents that come up to us and say, oh my God, you changed my daughter's life, and that's so heartfelt when they come and say, after you spoke at the school, you changed the school climate. And that's really important. A lot of times I never hear that. Obviously we speak to a school, we get a testimonial from the principal or the counselor, but to actually have parents come up to us is really special, because the community is about the family and the youth, that we want everybody to be inclusive. The LGBTQIA community, non-LGBTQ, everybody to harmoniously come and enjoy the half a day, and have fun, and also learn information about not only the Human Rights Commission, but about FLAG, about the transgender wellness. Just there's so many wonderful organizations in our community, and I think to spotlight them would be amazing. And then the speakers, obviously we can decide. I think, when we do presentations at schools, I pretty much introduce the ambassadors because they look at me like I'm a grandfather. No one's going to listen to me. Kids listen to peer-to-peer. I think it's really important to have speakers that kids can relate to, that kids can, that really could understand and, really just kind of relate to, honestly, that's the best word to it. I think when you have someone, and no disrespect, it's funny because Solange is graduating this year. She's one of our #1 ambassadors. She always calls me Grandpa D because no one, at some points I do speak if there's not another speaker, especially because I'm a gay man, and on the subject of LGBT. And also it's very tricky because it's not as easy as going into schools like it used to be pre-pandemic. They have to know what we speak about. They have to sign off. If it's LGBT, it takes like 3 to 4 weeks before we can book one school because of all the red tape. So having an event that is a free event in our city, and especially in such a central area right there by the library, the Parks and Recreation, is the perfect spot. We were thinking really big with David. There's a skateboard thing, there's this and that. But after speaking and making a lot of just communicating with parents, it's just too much. We don't want to lose the crowd by going from one area to the other. So keeping it with the pavilion, the speaker series, and the kickball and the food truck, and wherever we set up by the Parks and Recreation, I think is more than enough for the second year.
Dimitri, I think when we toured the facility, we also looked at using the leisure center that had the dance studio,
Yes.
arts and crafts room, and another room. Are we still thinking we're going to use that
Yeah,
space?
we have actually, we reserve, you know, I did the reservation for all of that. There are separate rooms so they can be split up with age, you know, with the age difference, you know, if it was tweens, if it was like elementary, so they could be split up because they're, you know, the space is amazing what they have there and to utilize. So, and all the families know of it because the kids go there for camp during the summer. So it's a no-brainer. Yes, David, I think, you know, having special activities, whether it's like, you know, whatever we come up with, I think is a perfect, the perfect rooms for each category that we decide to educate or do something in those rooms.
I had a question.
Yes.
Regarding bullying, does that include violence against kids? Like events in high schools where there's been, you know, shootings and stuff like that. Is that too broad?
I think that's, you know, that gets into a tricky, so, you know, I actually have on this event summary, I would love for the chief and his wife to be co-chairs on this. I think it's really important to showcase them. If he can kick a ball, Chief Andy Mills, it would be great to have him in the kickball tournament. Who would be amazing. I think when you get, you know, that I've been asked that before, it is very different and very different subject. And we don't want to lose, you know, that's like a taboo subject when you bring it up to schools, and it's a separate thing. And also the thing I didn't want to put on the flyer was I didn't want to put anything about mental health. I didn't want to put anything about like bullying because it's so oversaturated the last couple of years coming out of it that I feel like everything is about, we understand that it's mental health, but mental health also can be having a fun day and being out of that state of mind and being with friends and connecting. You know, teenagers like to meet up. It's a daytime event. I think it's definitely very possible, but I definitely would not break, because that you're opening up a can of worms when you're talking about violence and school shootings. That's
Okay.
a whole different arena when it comes to that. And I know from experience, a lot of kids, you know, that's where the police come in. You know, a lot of times parents say, what can I do? Well, you know, there's like laws in every state. If people really read the laws of what the laws for bullying is, this year, our aim is really about legislation and really defining and letting parents know that there's laws if their kid is being bullied. Now, what is bullying? Is it conflict or is it bullying? So there's two different things. You know, is it happening once because someone looked at you with cross eyes and, you know, like sneered, or is it a repetitive action that's happening to your child? So I think all those words have been used so loosely in the last couple of, especially I think out of the pandemic, you know, I constantly, oh, she's bullying me or he's bullying me, but is it happening more than once? Bullying is like, you know, the kid goes home and he's beaten up and his clothes are torn. That's bullying. And, you know, I think it's important for kids to identify, are you playing sports? He's bullying me. No, he's not. That's a sport. No one's bullying anybody when you're doing sport. That's a competitive. If you don't like competitive sports, don't be in it. A lot of the ambassadors and kids that we speak to are in martial arts or baseball, so they understand. I think it's having a clear understanding. That's why we're doing a lot more programs this year. Well, we're so blessed to get a grant from the Anderson Children's Foundation to create a curriculum moving forward, because it's really important for kids to understand what bullying really is, you know, or being called names on a daily basis. It's, you know, that is.
Dimitri, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, so you've been doing this is the 10th anniversary. How do you
Yes.
measure outcomes? How do you measure success?
You know what success we measure from the counselors? We don't have anything in place, but we measure success from the counselors and the testimonials that we get from principals, and really the numbers that we projected over the years that we've served over 30,000 kids, and the kids that come up to us at events that parents share how wonderful we either changed the school climate or we've changed someone's thinking. It's really having kids feeling safe. You know, that's
Yeah.
what bullying does.
Right.
It's creating a
Well,
safe
you know,
space.
I just trying to think more broadly of this kind of a project presentation. I wonder how this bullying also impacts the fact that, you know, I keep hearing 95% of Palm Spring United District students are, you know, at the poverty level are very disadvantaged. And sort of that's sort of a broader context for the bullying that goes on. It seems like it's a very kind of a layered problem. But I see on your program, and I know that you're presenting, there's like a $25,000 budget that's presented with a whole programmatic projection of what this all looks like. And I was
Right.
wondering, David, how are you thinking about the Human Rights Commission partnering? Is it financial? Is it putting our name on the brand, or what?
David, could I just
have-
answer
Well, we
something?
have no money, so we have no financial contribution to this project. Let's
But
start.
I definitely would love
clear
to
on
answer
that.
that. We have a $5,000 grant from Bighorn to go into this, and then we have $2,500 from the city of Palm Springs. So right now it's up to $7,500. There's other partners like the Grace Helen Spearman Foundation, and private donors like Walter Clark. So I think 25,000, I mean, to me is, you know, it's probably not going to cost that much. That's a round figure, because with the city being involved, and yes, with the Palm Springs Human Rights Commission being attached, some people might just do it and be part of it because it's such an important thing to do. You know, Palm Springs makes so much money from the tourism that I think having something special for kids is really, you know, not only kids, but for families that are actually in a disadvantage. And you're absolutely right. Do you know, like over 55% of the kids in all 3 districts are not attending school? That's a huge problem. And also the statistics for suicide is just as bad as on a national level. So people, you know, it's so funny, the 1%, and I'm sorry if I'm going to be crass, but Palm Springs kids have it made compared to schools that we've been to that have nothing, from Thermal to Mecca to Indio to Salton Sea. They don't even have a projector or a microphone or an art class or music classes. You know, I would love to bus some of the kids if we can, if there's a budget, if some gracious donor wants to support that. But kids really need, kids really need to be educated. Honestly, we can't just live in a bubble and around our community see the other kids not thriving because of the fact that an agency didn't go in there to speak to them.
Well, you know, I come from a healthcare background, you know, and, you know, in healthcare, we do a lot of education, but education doesn't always change behavior, that there has to be some intermediate steps. So I just kind of throw that out there, you know, a one-time educational sponsor, you know, thinking about, you know, how do you follow through? What is the way to, what kind of sustainability can you make with that particular problem when it's really commingled with a lot of other issues, I imagine. But that's my opinion. I come from and all the other different background. Thank you.
But I would like to kind of circle back to your original question, Commissioner Renke, about we as a commission need to determine how, what is our involvement with this project. And I think, as I mentioned, we're not financially contributing to this project. We are, I think what Dimitri and Buta Bulling's asking the Human Rights Commission is, do we want to be a co-sponsor of the program, lend our name to it, volunteer to support the program on the day of the event by physically being present and working with some of the kids or leading some of the seminars, or, you know, we're still working out the details of the program, but, you know, I think the chair invited Dimitri to present kind of the big picture of the program that we're hoping to put on September 30th. We don't have a lot of time to plan the event. September 30th will be here before we know it. But I wanted to put this out there for the commission to formally discuss and consider adding our name to it, stepping up to provide some of the manpower, both in terms of planning the event and participating during the event on September 30th.
Commissioner Greer.
Yeah, Dimitri, I just had a question. Thank you for that clarification, David, too. Dimitri, have you determined, can you name any of the speakers that you might have already committed? I know it's very important that you get people that the kids will listen to, because they.
Well, I think, yeah, we have actually, well, I've heard Michelle, I might get her name. She's a local Palm Desert writer, and she's specialized in bullying. Michelle Burba, I believe her name is. She's one that going to be reaching out to. Also, Jack Griffo on Nickelodeon's The Thundermans, that he's a really well-known actor, is willing to come out to the desert for this. So, I didn't really want to start approaching people until I knew that the Palm Springs Human Rights is going to be attached to it, because it's pointless to move forward if I don't have the support from the city and the Palm Springs Human Rights Commission. I think that is the first step. That's why I'm here. And yes, and maybe you guys don't have funds. I mean, in Buddha Bowling doesn't have funds either, but we are definitely eager to ask, like Walter Clark Legal, the Grace Helen Spearman Foundation. Like I said, Bighorn already has given us $5,000 and another $2,500 from the city of Palm Springs, and then really get some heavyweight co-chairs to be on it, to bring in their powerful. Listen, Palm Springs has a lot of powerful people, and things could happen like that if they really wanted to. So I've been in the round for 12 years in the desert, and the organization's been around for 10, and I've seen money come and go in supporting things. And I feel like this is something that, especially private donors, there's like Purple Hot Energy, and there's Renova, there's Desert Medical. I'd rather ask them first than going to Eisenhower, but there's so many people that, even though we're on a time, kind of like September 30th, like David said, is around the corner, there's things that could happen quickly. So I do believe that it could happen, because we already have I reserved the space, actually, God, when David and I first talked about it, I think it was June or something, because I know how fast things book up. So it's better, if we don't do it, it's better to have it booked than not booked, and then we could always cancel it if we decide, okay, this isn't going to work. But I think it's important. The thing is that we have both the Palm Springs High School baseball field and the pavilion booked. So everything else is really putting the components together to make this happen.
Okay, so your audience is the audience the kids or the parents, or?
It's actually the parents, the kids, the sponsors that want to come out, like everybody, just like you would see at Pride, just like you would see at PS1 Picnic. Everybody comes out for that. I know at PS1 Picnic, food isn't free, but I think, having a budget for a food truck to come there for like 90 minutes, we'll find out what that is. And we're deciding to go, I was thinking of In-N-Out Burger, but they want a year in advance, and they're really pricey. So a local eatery or a local, which we have affiliates with from our organization, would be a lot easier to make that happen.
So I think for the sake of time, I mean, it's 6:05 and we have a full agenda.
Carlota,
I have just another question. As I'm contemplating the burden of filling out the Form 700 and declaring all my Oh, anything that would be a conflict of interest. I just wanted to ask, and I hope this is okay, Dimitri, are you a 501(c) organization?
Oh, of course, we wouldn't.
Okay.
Yes. We're all up to date. We're a 501(c)(3). We've been for 10 years.
Mhm.
Actually, the organization's been around for 12, but the reason it's 10 years is because from our 501(c)(3). So it's 10 years since we've had the 501(c)(3). We're a California registered organization.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. You're free to reach out to David or myself if anybody else has any questions after, because I know you guys have a whole meeting ahead, but I'll take one more question if anybody has it.
So I have one comment about this, Dimitri and David, and I really want to, thank you both for putting your heads together and putting this project. I think the important questions have been asked. I think timing is definitely working against us. It's going to be a very big issue. Dimitri, I know you'll be able to round a lot of support around these organizations that you've been working with for all these years. I have no question in my mind that you can do that. I've seen you do that. So that's really important. We are going to be here as a commission supporting this incredible cause. And I'm sure many of us will wear our pom-poms and help you with logistics and be there, kicking the ball with the kids and all of that. It was important to get the question about the financial support out of the way immediately, because we don't have the financial support, but we do have the human support. And so please consider this commission to be your ally in that respect. And I know that David will be continue to do what he did in the past. One thing that I heard from last year is unfortunately lack of children attending the event. And so the only thing I would say is that as this develops, it's going to be really important to work hard to make sure that children show up and their families show up. Because we saw organizations showed up last year. And that was no question about the way that you guys went about putting it together. So I think organizations will show up. I know you can raise the funds that you need to make this happen. We're here to help you. It's going to be very important to make sure that the kids and families show up. And that's all I've got.
Thank you so much to all the commissioners. I really appreciate your time. And we're going to make it happen. Have a great meeting.
Dimitri.
Thank you.
Dimitri.
Oh, so wait, before I go, so do I have your support?
Yes, we'll be there.
I'll hang up and then you
We'll-
could tell me.
I don't
David,
know if we
tell me-
have to vote on it or not, but I sense that the.
Well,
commission will
I'll leave you
all
with one
agree.
more thing. I think what I'm looking for from both from the city and from the human rights is connections. Also, putting us in touch with the right people. Obviously some of the celebrities that are going to be coming out are going to be needing hospitality with the Palm Springs Hospitality Suites. I mean, that whole thing. So it's really connecting the dots so that way we don't have to spend that much money. And also, David was reaching out. Whoever participates, logos will be. There's different ways of sponsorship in tiers, not only on the t-shirts, but they could have banners on the baseball field. There's not going to be any kind of step and repeat or anything like that. Obviously, there will be a digital asset that will go out that all the sponsors will be recognized. So there will be a lot of different ways. And I definitely know with Sandy Newton's help, with getting it on the news, getting it on the radio station, and also working with the schools directly with the 3 districts to get it there. And my biggest thing really is to have the support to get like a bus or 2 from the different areas. So because a lot of these parents can't, they work, some of them work full time. So I'll leave you with that. And please reach out to me if you have any other questions. I'll feel free. Hugo?
Yes, I'm just going to introduce you, if you don't have the contacts at Greater Palm Springs Tourism Bureau, and also a contact that I have with the Palm Springs School District Foundation. And
Perfect.
let's figure out if they can provide any kind of level of support. I'll be super happy to do that.
That's amazing. Ellen's amazing. And we need all the help and hands-on in the city because everybody benefits from this. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful meeting tonight. I
you,
appreciate your
Dimitri.
time.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
That was great. All right, so let me figure it out. Let's recap here. Where do we go next? So that was presentations.
Do we need to vote on supporting this project? And if so, I
Okay,
don't think so.
anyone,
Do we?
anyone in favor of supporting this project, please raise your hand.
Mr.
Don't we
Chair.
need, don't we
Mr.
need a
Chair,
motion?
This item was not agendized.
It's not agendized. Thank
before
you, Jay.
voting. It's a presentation.
We only vote on items
Okay.
that are in the agenda. Thank you, Jay. But I think collectively, we all agree we'll do whatever it takes to support this endeavor. Yes?
We could have it agendized on
We
the
don't-
September.
We don't have
meeting.
time to agendize it for an August meeting unless we call a special meeting simply
No,
to
David,
formally endorse
there
it.
is no meeting in August. August is
All right.
dark.
Well, the event is September 30th, and if we wait till the September meeting for the Human Rights Commission to formally adopt a motion to support this, it makes no sense.
David, why a September 30th time? You know, I mean, to
Is
set
that
this whole
the
event
venue
up.
has already been reserved. And I mean, we can go back to Dimitri and ask him to postpone it, but the other people have already been engaged for this event to occur on September 30th. So either the Human Rights Commission supports it and attaches their name to it tonight or in a special meeting in the next 7 days, or we don't. I mean, the
Yeah.
event's not going to change
So
on
we can't,
September 30th.
we cannot take a vote as commission because it's not part of the agenda items. But I think that collectively, if I'm not mistaken, the feeling in the room is that we personally want to support this. And since we cannot provide financial support, it's as simple as us thinking we're going to support it any way we can.
So is it okay to put the Human Rights Commission on the flyers, the program materials, have our logo on t-shirts, or does that have to be put through a motion and a vote? That's my question to the staff liaison. Because that cannot wait till September.
If the city's already on board, doesn't that sort of include us?
I don't know, Jay, you have to
Yes,
answer that
and
question.
in fact, for events like this, the city actually prefers that it's just the city logo that goes on to any items, implying that there's a sponsorship or support.
Okay, if that is the case, and if the city has already committed a certain amount of dollars in support of this event, I think that we individually, as commissioners of the Human Rights Commission, can attach ourselves individually to the event and provide our own resources, our own means, our time, our efforts to get there to help in any way we can. But we won't be able to take a vote on it because it's not part of the agenda items.
Okay, well then we need to let Dimitri know that the Human Rights Commission is not a co-sponsor of this event. The city of Palm Springs is, and then individual commissioners can choose to participate in the event or help facilitate it. But he's going to take off our name. You will not see Human Rights Commission anywhere on any of the materials, programs, flyers, or t-shirts, logos, nothing. So I just want everyone to understand that. So we're really not being a partner with him, with Buchu Bowling on this event. The city is, but not the Human Rights Commission.
That should be fine.
Okay. All right. Are there any individual commissioners that are going to help? Or can you let me know if you would like
I'll be
to
there.
part of this?
I would love to kick balls with children. I'll be there.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done prior to September 30th. And if you are willing as individuals to help get this program and this event off the ground, please let me or Dimitri know so that we can include you in the working group discussions that we'll be having over the next 6 weeks. So that's,
Commissioner Cleary? You're muted. Oliver, you're,
Just wanted to volunteer to help with the committee and the project.
I would also not mind being involved. That'd be cool.
so you're getting a few of us saying, yes, we'll be there.
okay, thank you.
All right. So we do have a lot to tackle today. I just want to say for my opening comments, today's agenda is a really important agenda because we are getting close to the end of this year, fiscal year, and then we'll move on to the next year. And we do have several things that we have to look at, including elections. And I think we should move on to the elections item next. This is going to be really important. As you all know, this is a very democratic process, and we want to keep it very democratic. So as your current chair of the commission, we're going to move on to the nomination and election procedures.
Mr. Chair, I believe when we restructured the agenda, we had public comment and then approval of minutes next.
Gotcha. Jay, do we have any public comment?
I do not see anyone indicating they have public comments in the group.
Okay, thank you for that. Approval of minutes. Does any commissioner have any comments about the minutes from June 12th, 2023?
I received 2 comments from commissioners. One was that Commissioner Flood was not present at this particular meeting, so the roll call item will be amended accordingly. And Commissioner Cleary questioned item 11.2 on the minutes. The wording was confusing. It says admission of new members to the standing committees with an apostrophe. I believe that was meant to be no apostrophe. So just admission of new members to the standing committees, plural.
Okay. I have one, and it's a very simple request with the provision of correcting and amending Commissioner Edwin Ramoran's last name. It's not Ramon. The minutes look good to me. We want to make sure that we do spell our commissioners' names correctly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we'll need a motion to approve as amended.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, so Commissioner Horn moves to approve. Do we have a second? Commissioner
will.
Ramoran? Okay, cool. So we will spell Ramoran. Very important
And a vote?
to me, at least. Do we have a vote, please? Please, those who vote, raise your hand or say hi.
Aye.
So Jay's taking our votes.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, commissioners. All right, so we're going to move on to elections. This is exciting. We're going to move on to the nomination and election procedures for chair and vice chair for the next 12 months. Nominations do not require a second. So I need to go through a couple of things to make sure that it is clear what the process is. We're going to open nominations now in order for the office of chair and vice chair of this commission for the next 12 months. And we're going to open up first with nominations of chairs. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we all understand that we only have the ability to cast one vote. Okay? So your vote is final. So I'll ask of this commission, are there any nominations for the position of chair of this commission? Please raise your hand and come forward. Commissioner Cleary and Commissioner Vignolo. I also going to raise my hand and nominate for re-election. Do we have any other commissioners? All right. Having heard none, we're going to pause and we're going to listen to our commissioners who have been put forward their names for the position of chair, starting with Commissioner Cleary, who raised his hands first. Go ahead, Commissioner Cleary.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask if there was anybody that expressed an interest in the nomination, being nominated for the positions. Before I nominate my own, out of my own spontaneous ideas, I just wanted to know, was there a solicitation of persons of interest?
So Commissioner Cleary, from our last meeting, it was clear that today, this special meeting, we would be holding nominations and voting. And everyone in this commission is always invited to put their names forward to prepare a presentation if you so choose to nominate yourself for it. And
No,
if
that's not my question, but that's all right. All right, so I would like to nominate David Vignolo as in the position of chair, whether he likes it or not. That's my nomination. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, in the order that you raise your hand, Commissioner Vignolo, you have the floor. And you're muted.
You are withdrawing your nomination for chair. Is that, am I correct?
I was not self-nominating, I was
Oh,
nominating.
you were just asking. Okay. Well, thank you anyway for your nomination. And I am happy to accept that nomination. I have been on the commission for several years. This is my second term. And I feel like I've demonstrated my commitment to the mission and goals of the Human Rights Commission. I have done a lot of work for the commission in the past term. I know I'm somewhat frustrated by the challenges that the commission's faced in having greater visibility, and that's something I would like, if elected to chair, to work with my fellow commissioners to elevate our visibility in the city. I think it's important that we go back to looking at improving what we do in terms of the commission. I know we've done a lot of work under the current chair's position, or current chair's term, and in the previous chair, Ron DeHart. Councilmember DeHart was the previous chair of the commission. But I think what I would bring to the position if elected, given the opportunity, is I have a lot of energy, a lot of time to devote to this work, and an eagerness to engage with each of you, especially the newer commissioners. I think you are new blood and you bring some great new ideas that I would like to explore with you. It's not going to be easy, but I think we have to tackle the hard, difficult work of making this commission more relevant to the quality of life of our residents and our citizens. I just feel like it's somewhat stagnant, and I think we need to kind of refocus and figure out a way to engage our community and serve them, and make our commission more relevant, really. I just feel like it's kind of just not as current as it could be, and maybe we need to just start thinking outside the box and trying to do some different things to reinvigorate the Human Rights Commission. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Vignolo. I also raised my hand, and I am very honored to be here today to ask you for a vote for re-election as the chair of the Human Rights Commission. I've been serving on this role for the past year, and I am very proud of the work that this commission has done and everything we have accomplished together. We have made some significant progress in promoting human rights in our community, but I also know that we can achieve a whole lot more in the next years to come. I also want to highlight that under the last 12 months and under the work that I've done as the chair of this Human Rights Commission, our Human Rights Commission has developed closer relationships with key stakeholders and key organizations that work to protect our transgender community. I would also like to recognize that we, as a commission, were recognized and received an award from advocacy by the Black History Committee for the City of Palm Springs and the 47th Assembly District of the California State Legislature. We, as a commission, the majority of us, have marched in support of our veterans and our Black and our LGBTQ communities. We participated in somber community events of remembrance and vigils. We have collectively raised awareness on the issue of bullying of children in schools. We have finally attended as a commission the Harvey Milk Diversity Awareness Breakfast. And we have and continue to increase collaboration with other local community organizations working to promote human rights. I'm confident that we will do the work that is needed to continue to lead the development of this Human Rights Commission. I am a strong advocate for human rights. I continue to remain committed to working tirelessly to ensure that everyone in our community can live a life free from discrimination and injustice. Again, I ask for your vote today. Together, we can make our community a more equitable and more wonderful place for us to live. And I need to ask if there are any other nominations or anyone else in the commission that would like to step forward. Having heard none, we are going to move to vote for our candidates. Let me make sure that I get this right. Okay. So thank you, Commissioner Cleary, for nominating Commissioner Vignolo. I'm going to ask for your vote, either vocal or by hand, for Commissioner David Vignolo for chair of the Human Rights Commission for the next year. Please say aye or raise your hand for the record. Commissioner Horn. Commissioner Cleary. Thank you. And now I would like to ask for those of you who would like to vote for my re-election to say aye or raise your hand. And I do get to vote. Jay, do we have a count?
Hard to see the hands all on one screen, Mr. Chair, but it looks as if there are 6 votes for re-election of chair of the chair and 3 votes for Commissioner Vignolo.
Thank you, Jay. Donna, do you have a comment? Or you're just voting? It looks like it is a vote. I want to thank.
still voting.
You're still voting. I want to thank you very much for your vote of confidence. And I promise I will continue to make this work of our commission relevant, working with our officials, supporting our city. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on. Thank you. It feels great. Now we're going to move on to the re-election or the election of the chair. And I want to put a motion to re-elect Donna Shepherd as our vice chair for this commission. Do we have anyone who wants to step forward for the position of vice chair?
I guess I'll throw my hat in the ring again for vice chair.
There you go, David. Thank you for doing that.
I don't need to repeat my comments, but I'm just think it's valuable to have options. So
Okay.
I am happy to serve as vice chair if the rest of the commission, and this is no reflection on Vice Chair Shepherd, but I'm just thinking it's time for change. We've got new commissioners and maybe we just mix things up a little bit. Change is not always a bad thing.
Carlota, we know that you have your hand up. Are you putting
Oh.
your name or did you just?
No, I didn't. I voted. I didn't undo my raised hand.
Okay, great. So I put forward the re-election of Donna Shepherd as our vice chair, and I would like for commissioners to say aye or raise your hand. Those who would like to re-elect vice chair Donna Shepherd. Aye. Okay. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I'd like to ask those of you who would like to vote for Commissioner David Viñolo to become the vice chair of this commission to say hi or raise your hand. I'm counting 3. Jay, do we have a tally? I'm counting 4, maybe.
I believe there were
5 and 4. 5 for Shepherd and 4 for Vignolo.
Thank you, Lily. Jay, can you certify that count?
Yes, that's what I have. 5 votes for Vice Chair Shepherd, 4 votes for Commissioner Vignello.
Thank you. Congratulations, Vice Chair Shepherd. We're happy you're serving another term. You want to say anything, Donna?
Yes, Hugo, I want to congratulate you for becoming our chair again, and I want to indicate that I will continue to support you to the best of my ability. I understand the sentiment that change can be good, and I also understand the sentiment that our commission may be not as in the forefront and in the community focus as we would like to be, and state that I agree with that and would like to push us forward more. I think that it's important that we all understand that human rights is more than civil rights, more than gay rights, more than any kind of rights in mind. It's human rights for all and everyone. And we need to be inclusive to all areas, all parts of our city, and the overall human rights umbrella. And I would like to talk about that a little bit more if we were able to put together a retreat that we spoke about. But thank you for those of you who gave me your support.
Thank you again, and thank you everyone for actively participating in this very important democratic process. We really appreciate your votes of confidence. and we will continue to work with you and alongside with you to make this commission a better commission.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ranke had a question in the chat on whether votes are confidential and I'm sorry. What the process we used was provided by our city clerk, where individuals would nominate and or raise. Don't know if that's me. Or say aye or raise their hands.
Maybe we need to try to mute if you're not speaking, please.
Could you repeat the question?
Let's all mute and ask Jay ask the question again, please.
Yes, in the chat, Commissioner Ranke questioned, aren't votes confidential? And my response was that we have a procedure provided by the city clerk, which calls for verbal nominations and votes.
Thank you.
So there really isn't nothing to vote about. You're just responding to Commissioner Ranke's question, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Commissioner Ranke, for that question. All right, so we've tackled some of the most, the bigger parts of the agenda today. We are going to move now to our old format, still current format, for items for discussion and on action that have been part of this agenda. And the first item is going to be the executive report of standing committee. I know we don't have a whole lot to report on this every month. However, knowing that the next month is a dark month for City Hall, for our elected officials, and there will be no commission meetings scheduled, we are thinking that this could be a good opportunity to have a retreat with the commission to look at our goals for next year, to look at our standing committees, to talk about the possibility of having ad hoc committees. And that is something that we would like to put forward as a possibility. We haven't been able to do this because of COVID and having all these meetings on Zoom. And I know many of us have been wanting to get together in person. So maybe the month of August would be a good time to do it. I see two hands up. Commissioner Cleary, I saw yours coming first.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, in reviewing the some item that was sent to me along with all the other items, there was a commissioner at large position. Is that not up to vote as well?
So this would be the standing committees, right? And we're going to get to standing committees in just a minute.
No, it would be the executive committee.
Oh, the executive committee. Yes, this is a standing board. You're
That
right.
is- Yeah.
In
So
the previous-
I would like to nominate a commissioner at large position.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to nominate David Vignolo to be a member of the executive committee by being our commissioner at large.
Correct. Great, thank you for the reminder. Our previous bylaws, which we agreed we were going to look at because they're so old and we need to revise, have that particular position serving only 3 months. I recall, if I'm not mistaken, that there was perhaps a motion to see if we can extend that to 6 months. But I would like to have a discussion about this with the entire commission. Donna. You're muted.
I was just going to say that in the past, that has been a relatively ineffective position, and my opinion is that it is because it's for 3 months, the person comes on and a person is off and there really isn't much time for them to add a lot of value or get involved with the executive committee. I agree with what you said, Hugo. In fact, I think I brought that up some time ago, that maybe we go by 6-month terms on that position. I think the notion is that it's an opportunity for more people to get involved at the executive committee level and see all the behind the scenes work that we do. And being a little bit facetious with that one, but you know, to theoretically have more input into the commission. So I would like to move that we switch that to a 6-month assignment. And I also recall in the past, those persons were selected by the chair for those positions. I don't recall ever having voted on a standing commissioner because that would require an election every 3 months or every 6 months. So I would ask for a check of our bylaws, Jay, to see if that is a chosen or a selected position. I think either way, Commissioner Vignolo has expressed an interest to be on the executive committee and be more involved. And I think that's something that either way, whether it's an elected position or a chosen position, we may want to take into consideration going forward.
Commissioner Rinke, you have a comment? You're muted, Commissioner Rinke.
I have a question about, is the are the bylaws what we reviewed? I think that, David, you had presented to us in our last meeting. I don't know what those rules or regulations, but I don't think I've seen the bylaws for the Human Rights Commission, if there is. Where do those rules exist of the structure?
So
I
Carlotta,
think it's the rules of procedure.
yes,
It's called the Rules of Procedure document,
Okay.
adopted in 1996.
So that was it.
that's it. And
That's
that's a document that really needs to be looked into. And we need to revise this because it's been quite some time. And some of those so-called bylaws probably do not reflect what we're experiencing and what we see today.
And I agree with the chair that they do need to be revised. To Vice Chair Shepherd's question, the current rules of procedure do indicate clearly that the rotating member of the executive committee is an elected position by the commission and not an appointment.
Mhm.
And that's under the officer section of the rules of procedure. So until such time as they are in fact amended, I would suggest to the commission we have to elect a rotating member
Mhm.
of the executive committee.
Okay,
I don't know how we can handle the extension of 3 months to 6 months, but
exactly.
I'll
That's
leave that up
one big
to-
issue. Mhm. That's
Yeah.
one big issue because we can vote on that today. But Jay, can we suggest to amend that from 3 months to 6 months with this vote? Or do we have to go with our current rules and procedures that we have to just vote on someone to join this executive committee for 3 months? And then hold another vote in 3 months.
Well, current rules and procedures should be followed, to Commissioner Vignolo's point. However, within that 3 months, commissioners, you may seek to amend the rules and procedures to change that role to be 6 months.
And I know we need to look into this document and really bring it up to today. So gladly we look into that at the executive committee. So with that said, and with nomination of Commissioner David Vignolo on the table to join the executive committee as a rotating member, I think we're going to move to vote for the 3-month period that is currently in effect, with the caveat that we will be revising that document and then putting it forward in our next commission meeting. Donna, do you have you've raised your hand? Go ahead. Again, you're muted, Donna.
like to nominate Edward Ramaran for that position.
That's great. Thank you so much for your nomination of Edward Ramaran for that position. Commissioner Ramaran, you have your hand up.
Yes, I actually had a question, just a point of information. There was a document also with the revised standing executive standing committees. It was revised in November of 2018. Does that also, would that be considered part of the larger document, since we're looking at a document that needs revision or from?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is a great opportunity for us to look not just at those procedures and policies, but also at the work of our committees. And I know Commissioner Vignolo put a very thoughtful proposal for making our committees, instead of standing committees, ad hoc committees. And it's really interesting. We'd like to hear what he has to say in that regards, because I think we would all be for streamlining our meetings, but also for making the work of this commission much more expedite, much more effective. So this would be definitely a good time to look at all of this, and with the eye of, we need to make some adjustments, and the commission needs to agree to make some adjustments and bring those things up to date. So yes, Commissioner Ramaran, I think this is a great opportunity to do that. But you have also been nominated for this. And so do we have anyone else that would like to nominate for joining the executive committee rotating position? Having heard none, we're going to move to
I just do have a comment. Without having a clear understanding of what the commission on the executive committee does, it's hard to sort of vote or sort of know. This is an editorial comment. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I know very much so what you mean. And it's hard to keep up with all this information that has been published for many years, Carlota. If you spend a little bit of time diving into the repository of documents, which is really difficult to navigate at the city, it's hard to find things. We'll be making sure that everyone has, again, a copy of the rules and procedures document, which has already been shared with you. And then the document that talks about the standing committees, which is also being shared with you. And hopefully everyone has an opportunity to read them. I know it's a lot to ask for people because you all have things to do, but reading is a necessary thing.
But Hugo, we didn't get an electronic copy. We got a paper copy. So it's sitting in my file folder somewhere. Anyway, if we could get an electronic copy, it'd be helpful. Thank you.
But I do believe everyone has received a copy of those documents.
A paper copy at the June 12th meeting, I believe. And that's my experience. This is my second meeting.
Sure. No, and we get it. Commissioner Vignolo, you want to say something and you're muted.
Oops. Yeah, sure. And Commissioner Ramaran can have an equal opportunity to make comments. But before we take a vote on the executive committee member at large, I just wanted to express, for me, I think it's important. My desire to be on the executive committee stems from a couple of things, and these are part of the responsibilities as they're currently defined in the rules of procedure. One is setting the agenda for regular and special commission meetings. I think it's important that we have, I want to participate in the setting of the agenda for our meetings going forward. I think that's been a frustration of mine for the last several years. And I think the other responsibility that is important is coordinating commission activities, providing direction, and facilitating communication with commission members. I think I would bring a lot of expertise to that if allowed to be part of the executive committee. I'd like to see the executive committee have regular meetings and communicate the results of those executive committee meetings to the full commission membership. So I'm happy to I don't want to take too much time to read all of the responsibilities of the executive committee, but those to me are essential responsibilities that I feel I would bring some expertise and detail-oriented to that executive committee. I think I could make it more efficient and work a lot better for the full commission. So that's my spiel for hoping to get your vote for this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Commissioner Ramaran, you have been nominated for this. Would you like to provide us with a couple of comments?
Yes, absolutely, Chair Loyola. Vice Chair Shepherd, I totally appreciate the nomination. I'm ill prepared today to be accepting the nomination, so I will actually remove take away my nomination, if that's okay.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Ramaran. So having heard that and having heard no other nominations for this, I don't think we need to take a vote. I mean, Commissioner Vignolo has been nominated, but just for the record, if you could all agree that Commissioner David Vignolo will join the executive committee for 3 months, and then we will look at these terms and to amend our rules and procedures and our committee information. We would do so over the next few months. So just for the record, and let's just all say A or raise our hands. Commissioner Vignolo, welcome to the executive committee. And thank you. Items for discussion, 6:52. So I was going back to the executive report standing committee, which is, again, next month, we will experience a dark month in City Hall. Commissions will not meet. City Hall and council members will not meet. This is the month that pretty much everyone takes a little bit down for summer. And we would be thinking about looking for a date where we can have our first in-person strategic meeting discussion about the work ahead, about the committees, about who is joining which efforts. And we don't have a particular date, but our vice chair, Donna Shepherd, has graciously offered us access to her beautiful home so that we can get a space to get together and have our strategic meeting planning, if you will. We know that some of you have already made commitments for the summer. It will be great if the majority of us could get together. We can make this a hybrid event, so some of you could be in Zoom, some of us could be in person. But I'd like to, the first idea was we could look at a Friday in August, maybe the second Friday, maybe the third Friday, maybe the fourth Friday. I know some of you spend time in cooler climates because it's too hot here. But if we all have access to our calendars, and if we can look at the second Friday in August, which is Friday, it would be August the 11th, or the second Friday, the third Friday, which is August the 18th, or the third Friday, which is August the 25th. And if we can all agree to a date on a Friday, I think that would be fantastic. Otherwise, we're open to other suggestions.
What kind of time?
Morning or an evening or afternoon? Do you have a?
So Donna will be our host. Donna.
Can we show up for coffee at 6 in the morning?
Oliver votes for the 25th.
Oh, do you want us to do it in chat? Is that how you want us to indicate our preference?
Just say what you have available. Let's pick a date.
What time of day though? In the morning or the afternoon?
Donna's
or the
muted.
evening?
Donna's our host.
Oh.
Donna, you're muted.
By the time of the next meeting, I'll try to learn how to unmute myself. Those 3 dates, those 3 Fridays are all fine for me. I guess I would like to see which day we could get the most attendance, and maybe we would start by looking at the 18th. Is there anyone who's not available on the 18th? Beverly and David. Okay.
Oh.
Let's take a look at the 25th. Anybody not available on the 25th? David. Let's see, anybody? What about the 11th?
Beverly is not available on the 11th.
Pardon me?
Beverly is not available on the
Oh,
11th.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Friday, we're hooked in. Friday is a terrible day for me. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, maybe we should look at another day. I'm going to pick another day. I'm going to say the 17th of August, which is a Thursday.
Okay. That day I have
Who's
teacher.
not available?
I am not available.
I can't, no, have to go out farther. You have to go a lot farther. My calendar is full until the end of August, so.
17th is also my birthday, so that weekend is not.
Oh, no, I can't do it on your birthday.
I'd love to be here with you guys, but
No. What are the date on the
How
calendar?
about how about the 24th?
So anything in the morning or afternoon prior to 2 o'clock works for me.
How about like the 28th or so, like a Monday or something? 28th, 29th, or 30th. Anybody got anything on that?
The 30th is available for me as well.
30th is available for me.
30th is not good for me, but Monday and Tuesday, 28 and 29 are. I don't think we're going to find a day when we can get 100%. But David is not available any of those 3 Fridays we originally talked about. Is there anything on either of those days you could move, David?
When
Well,
you,
I'm available on Friday, August 11, but I think others were not. I'm not sure.
28th works.
Right. You were the only one, I think, on August 17th. So I was wondering if that's something you could.
The 28th works before 3 o'clock.
Oops.
28th is good for me.
It's Memorial Day.
No. You're August.
No, you're
Memorial
the
Day is-
month.
Sorry, I'm looking at a different date. But the 28th is available for me before 3 o'clock.
Who's not available on the 28th?
Ramaran.
I'm available after 3 o'clock at school.
I have to go to school.
I have to go to school.
This is a tough call. Again, we can do this hybrid, right? So those of you who may not be able to be there in person can join via Zoom. But if we can have the majority of us attending, that would be great.
I prefer, I don't know how the rest of the group feels about not doing half Zoom and doing half Zoom. I just find that one of the reasons I think that we're kind of behind in our communication and some other things is because of the Zoom meetings over the last year. And I really think we had a good session of across the table interaction and decision-making without the formality of having the whole thing on Zoom.
I agree.
Me too. Is August 23rd available to you?
Yes.
No.
Well, doesn't August 28th work for everybody except for our student who's going to be in school before 3, really?
And for Commissioner Ramaran.
Oh, Ramaran can't come either. Okay.
Commissioners, your regular meeting time is the second Monday of the month, and that would be August 14th.
do that.
Well, we could do an afternoon meeting, the 14th of August. I'm not available, unfortunately, that day. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Yes,
14th of
I'm
August? 14th of August
Something in
works?
the afternoon. We could do a 1 to 5 kind of thing on that day, if that works better for people.
Works for me.
Yeah,
Let's pencil it, please. Everyone pencils August 14th,
1 to 5.
1 to 5, okay?
Mhm.
We'll bring some goodies, some food and some drinks, everyone. Excellent. So that's several hours for us to hammer a good strategic plan looking forward to the next 12 months. The work of our committees, etc.
And Hugo, I'd like to recommend that you and David and I sit down before that to hammer out an agenda for that retreat.
Yes. Please send us an invite. We'll make it happen.
Commissioners, I also need to let you know that this needs to be a public meeting, meaning anyone from the public should have the right to visit and attend at Commissioner Shepherd's house.
Donna, are you okay with that?
How do we announce that? Can
Even
you
for
announce that for
strategic
us on the
planning?
website?
For a strategic planning meeting, the public has to attend.
It's the majority of the commissioners meeting.
Brown Act.
Brown
yeah.
Act.
And
just-
what would the public do during a strategic planning meeting?
Or
Simply observe, or are they
Sit
allowed
and
to
watch.
participate?
They can observe, or if you have a public comment section, they can participate.
I thought strategic planning qualified as a closed session under the Brown Act.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna suggest that we check into that further, Jay. I mean, I'm really not.
I think it's one of the elements that is allowed under the closed session that you can do regardless of how many
There's
people.
personnel, there's real estate transactions. I don't know that strategic planning is a Brown Act, a closed session item, but I'm happy to look into it further.
Why
Thank you, Jay.
why don't we make it an executive committee workshop? And that way it's not a majority of the board of commissioners, and they can meet and come up with this wonderful plan and share it with us when we meet in September.
No, that doesn't get the input of the commissioners.
I agreed, Oliver. Everyone has been asking for an in-person meeting for more than a year. And,
I'm very anxious to get input from our new commissioners.
that's it. All right, so we have a date, we have a time. We're just gonna find out about the public. Jay's gonna help us figure this out, right, Jay? And then we can communicate that to the entire commission via Jay, our staff liaison. Remember, Brown Act, it's really important when we communicate amongst ourselves. We want to make sure that we follow all of the right procedures and that our staff liaison continues to be Jay Barrada, and we have to do it through him. All right.
I just went through the Brown Act orientation that Evelyn Beltran, I think, presented. I can send out the documents, to you, Jay, if you wanted to share them. It talks about the city council as well as the details of the Brown Act, and they really instilled the fear of God in violating that act and the kind of liability that it can incur.
Thank you, Commissioner Renke. I would appreciate that.
With that, and before we move on to the next point, it's really important. Now, most of us have taken the city training on the importance of ethics. The new commissioners, you should be getting, if you haven't received an invitation from the city to take this training, it is imperative that all of us go through the training and then we go and complete that course on ethics, okay? Very important. Can't skip it. Thank you. All right, so mindful of the time, and this has been a really good meeting. I want to thank you so much for staying with us. Items for discussion, we already talked about the executive committee. I don't have anything major to report on the Palm Springs Police Department LGBTQ outreach liaison activity. Our police chief is on vacation at the moment. Things in the city seems to be fine. Do we have anything for the master calendar for this particular coming month, Vignolo?
No, I don't have anything on that.
Main Street has also slowed. So I only can report that there are a few other organizations that are looking to join our Main Street business organization. And that, again, it's summer, so things are slow. Number 5, 10, 5 organized neighborhoods, 1 PS. Commissioner Vignolo, anything to report? No.
No, I don't have anything on that.
10-6, Desert Highland Gateway States Community Association, flood, Shepherd, anything to report? No?
No.
Thank you. Moving on. 10-7, veterans issues. Commissioners Flood or Vignolo, anything with veterans to report?
Mhm.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Nope.
10-8, Youth Education Affairs Standing Committee, Student Representative Hanner, Vice Chair Shepherd, Commissioner Vignolo, anything to report? So the only thing is that we did not have anything in July for the activity that was sort of being planned for our kids in the summer, right, Commissioner Vignolo? That was canceled?
Right. We're going to try to roll that into the September 30th, or I'll try to roll that in to the September 30th.
I do
Food
have
to
the
bowling.
materials that I ordered for that, Commissioner Vignolo, so I'll give those to you. Maybe
Okay,
we
thank you.
can do a little workshop or something.
10-9, mediation. We have something on mediation. Vice Chair, would you like to share what we've got for mediation?
Yes, I've talked about mediation. Commissioner Flood and I are both mediators. They're having the fall season class starting October 3rd. And if anybody is interested in becoming a mediator for the city, for the Riverside County Courts, either Palm Springs or any of the other branches, that's a great place to get your education. The class only lasts for a month, 2 nights a week. And I learned a lot, and I've been doing mediation the last month or 2 and have found it to be very interesting and very rewarding. And as far as the Human Rights Commission, it's important to have more than a couple of us certified so that if we do receive a complaint that requires mediation, that we are able and available to work through that issue with our citizens.
Donna, how do we, Commissioner Shepherd, how do we enroll? How do we enroll in the course?
I'll send the announcement to Jay, and Jay can send it to all of you.
Thank you.
So we did receive the email from our city liaison, Jay, earlier in the week. It's an email dated July 24th, right, Jay? For the basic mediation training.
Yes, it was sent out on the 24th, but we can send it again.
We will
Sometimes it
certainly
takes-
send that again.
Yeah, let's send it again so people don't have to dig around for it.
All right, great. This is important for those of you who have time in your hands. And if you want to register to take this training and get certified, please consider doing it. Excellent. Anything to report on equity and social justice, Vice Chair Shepherd?
No, not at this time.
And again, for the record, we just received the email again from our city liaison, Jay Barada, on mediation. It should be on our emails. Thank you, Jay. We jump a little bit ahead, the planning for the retreat. We have a date, we have a time. Thank you for doing that. Standing committees and assignments. Commissioner Vignolo, you did some work on this. Would you like to spend a couple of minutes telling us this proposal?
Sure. So it was just a really quick review of the current rules or the procedures document from 1996. I was trying to suggest some changes to that document and how we, what our procedures are that would make us more aligned with other human rights commissions. I looked at what the City of San Francisco Human Rights Commission, how their rules of procedures, and the City of Los Angeles rules of procedures for their Human Rights Commission. So I put together some things that I think need to be, maybe during the strategic planning retreat, we can look at and discuss changing, but probably the biggest one was at least those two human rights commissions don't have standing committees. They simply have ad hoc committees. When an issue or something comes up, they'll create an ad hoc committee to address or look at the issue and come back to the full commission. So it has a very defined set of objectives, a start and an end date. I just don't think our standing committees, you know, and again, we can discuss this in greater detail, but I don't know that there's a need for standing committees that just simply exist on paper, but don't really have a purpose. So I'm just trying to streamline how we operate as a commission. So I think Jay has the document.
He shared with
Send it
us.
out to you. It's a rough draft. It's just my own personal thoughts. We can talk more about it at a later date.
I did have the opportunity to read it, and I think your thinking is really great, Commissioner Vignolo. Thank you, David, for doing this. This will be a great document for us to look at more carefully during our retreat. And Jay, I would like to make a note here. I would like this to be an agenda item for our next meeting so that we can report the work of our retreat and also report what we decided as a commission with regards to making some adjustments to these rules and procedures. Yes, everyone?
Oh, sure.
Oh, thank you, David. This is really good work and very good forward thinking. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
We did that, we done that. Partnerships with other organizations. I had the opportunity to have a brief conversation with some of our new commissioners. Thank you so much. Beverly, could you spend just a couple of minutes talking about what we talked and discussed about blue zones? How you saw the potential collaboration with blue zones from the Human Rights Commission? I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, we were discussing one of the things that I was talking to member of the council. Apparently, the Palm Springs is going to go ahead and do a venture with the Blue Zone organization. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it at all. It's there was a study done for the National Geographic that looked at areas in the world where people lived to in excess of 100 years. It's interesting that we happen to have one very close by in Loma Linda, and it's what they have done. And I'm not sure how the organization evolved out of it, but I know the fellow who started the research started the organization, and they're looking at various methodologies where they can work on the environment of a town and be able to make it more friendly to help advance the quality of life for seniors and for older people. And I think it's something that's it'll be interesting to see how it goes forward with the city and how we can basically help, particularly with our seniors, and how we can make that a better project.
Thank you, Beverly, for that. This is going to be a really important project, and our Mayor Pro Tem Jeffrey Bernstein had really suggested and recommended highly that we get inserted in this project because it's definitely going to have a good impact, positive impact.
Oh, good, because it really, if it works, it can be a really good and positive program for the whole environment. And basically, it involves a lot of things, including, you know, transportation, environment, parks and you know, it's quite extensive in terms of how you build connections and how you build community to be able to support particularly those people in need.
That's wonderful. And also improve the quality of lives of our community. And that's kind of very important, right?
Very,
So that's
very
great. That's great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Greer. Carlota, are you there? I think she stepped out. I wanted her to give us a quick couple of minutes on homeless. We haven't really done a whole lot on the homeless front. Here she comes. Carlota, you're there?
I am. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had to.
Can I ask you to speak just briefly a couple of minutes on our conversation with regards to what we could do with regards to helping our homeless community? And given that this is a very important issue for our community.
Right. And actually my concept is nothing unusual, but forming tighter collaborations, say with, I know Andy Mills, he's the first point of contact for these homeless people, Well in the Desert, DAP, but I can serve as an agent to try to move together to see how the Human Rights Committee can help support what these different, there's a lot of initiatives going on. I mean, Orange County just had something that was relatively successful. Karen Bass in LA is trying to move and shake it. And I recently met a retired DA from the city of LA. She's living in Rancho Mirage, who worked with the police force and targeted neighborhoods and how they reduced homelessness. This was about 5 or 7 years ago. But anyhow, trying to tap into some of the talent and some of the multiple initiatives and how to maybe coordinate and organize and put our foot into the fray. You know, it's such an important issue and there's so much going on. And I think Hugo, Commissioner Loyola, you had mentioned how counting those homeless was one of the projects that had gone on, something that I would have very much liked to have done, but there's on the ground type of work we can do, but also, you know, again, finding a strategy that collaborates with what the city is doing and what other strong nonprofits are.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Rinke. You know, I invite again everyone in this commission to really look at how our commission supports the work of our city council. I know we shared the strategic plan from 2023 to 2025. We can see in a very broad set of strokes what the council's priorities will be for the next few years. My recommendation, my suggestion, my comment, my plea would be find something that really interests you, that may be something that can help bring back to the commission in support of that strategic plan. Because everything this commission does is in support of our city council and that strategic plan. There's so much that we can do, right? We're a group of volunteers. And our goal should definitely be looking at where else can we get inserted, what can we do personally as commissioners, but also as commission at large to help in any way, shape, or form our city council's strategic plans. So these are two examples of things that, hey, we could do something here: homeless, blue zones. I already mentioned human trafficking from the last couple of meetings. So, you know, be out there, listen to people, listen to what's happening in the community. If you see something that you see that, and you think it's relevant, and any kind of organization is shaping up to help the cause, please bring it to the commission. Let's figure it out how we can get inserted and what can we do as a commission to help that particular effort. Anyone else, anything else with partnerships? Okay. We've already spoken about the second annual bullying symposium. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo, for the work that you've done. We really appreciate that. It's important to bring this issue front and center, and I think the community will be better for this.
There will not be a second annual bullying symposium, but I individually will work with Dimitri to try to have some kind of speaker speak to bullying during his September 30th event.
And we've already identified ourselves who will be inserting ourselves to help you with this individually, not as a human rights commission, but as human rights commissioners, to help any way we can to advance this very important cause.
Great, thank you.
Finally, the comment F, any additional commissioner, staff, or student comments? There you go, Commissioner Vignolo, go ahead.
So real quick, I just wanted to make mention of the Veterans Day Parade, Saturday, November 11, 2023. Parade start time is 3:30 p.m. Unless there's any objection, I'll submit the entry application to have us participate. I don't think it requires any kind of formal vote, but
no. And
if it does, can we put it on the agenda for our next, perhaps our September or August 14 meeting?
We have supported in March, as far as I know, and I've been part of this commission, veterans, right? And for our new commissioners, you know, when we have these opportunities to march for these important causes, veterans, our Black community, our LGBT Pride event, any type of community event that is happening, if we can, as a commission, get inserted, participate, figure out how we can support it, we should. It's important for the community to see us carrying that banner. I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of us could speak about the setup, the timing, the marching, the doing all of this. If we really want to raise the visibility of the commission in our community, we need to continue to participate in these events. So I invite everyone to look at the upcoming parades, happen mostly in the fall. We have several in the winter time as well. And everyone is welcome to join and march together. It is really a lot of fun to be a part of this. And for those of you who haven't done it, please consider joining. Anything else, Commissioner, student representative? Jay, do you
did
have
post
any-
something in the chat, you Chair, that I did a quick check of the Brown Act and quote, retreats continue to be subject to the open meeting and notice requirements of the Act, end quote. So I believe, Jay, I stand corrected, and I guess our staff liaison will send out an agenda for our August 14th meeting and post notice accordingly.
Remember that we have a very important deadline before posting the agendas publicly. So if you want to have anything that is super important and then it follows what we have agreed to keep in the agenda items, please make sure to communicate that as soon as possible. Jay can speak about this. Once the agenda is public and is made public, we cannot unpost the agenda. We have to roll with what is already posted for the public. So keep that in mind, okay? So, I don't have any other announcements other than to say thank you. This was a very good meeting. I we'll move to adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn from a commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I just want to share that the grants and sponsorships from the city are live. So if you know of any organizations wanting to apply for grants and sponsorships, those are available on the city's website. Let me go on and put the link into the chat for you all to refer to. And
This is for the non-for-profit organizations, Jay, is that correct?
correct.
All right, so we're working with our friends on a non-for-profit, SquareWorks, Transgender Center. We have friends at many non-profit organizations. If you are very well connected with these organizations, make sure they know that the city has announced this grant program, and it just came announced probably a couple of days ago. Is that right, Jay?
Yeah, I think maybe a week. I'm not
week?
too sure, right?
So the way I would recommend you guys get immersed in it is read it, figure out what are the requirements for the grant. There are very specific requirements for these non-for-profits to apply. When in doubt, if someone has questions, they can contact multiple people at the city to ask about those requirements. But if you become very well versed on the requirements and the program and feel confident about talking to your friends at nonprofits, help them with the application if you can. Anything you can to let them see that there's funding for them from the city. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? David Vignolo has a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We're going to move to adjourn. The commission will adjourn to an adjourn regular meeting Monday, September the 11th, 2023. As a reminder, that's a very important and somber day, which we remember all of the people that we lost on September the 11th. But we look forward to seeing you in August at the beautiful home of our Vice Chair Shepherd, so that we can have our retreat finally. And with that, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Night.
We'll see you.